and Alyssa and I, and we'll do that
Sounds
privately.
good. Okay, we are going online now.
Cool.
Ready?
We're live on TikTok. Yep.
Hi guys, thanks for joining. This is Essence of Science. Today we're going to be talking about how to reverse allergies if you can. I'm Amanda Armagost.
I'm Melissa Haber.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence.
So last week we started talking a little bit about allergies. It was one of our shorter podcasts and we got a lot of really good feedback from that. So we decided to do part 2 on actually what to do if you have allergies already and how can they be reversed.
So we kind of know the medical side of allergies somewhat from going over part 1.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of we wanted to do the focus of the pharmaceutical side of things, kind of what do you do if you have an allergic reaction? And then we kind of also want to jump into the sensitization process, the new ways that they have been trying
Holistic.
to bring in
Mhm.
allergy medicine without actually using medicine. So it's kind of a fun one we have planned.
So, and we discussed that there are 2 paths our body react to anything that it considers foreign and bad for us. One, what we call the cell, the T cell, and one is the B cell. One is the immune globulin, and one is the actual cells that they go attach that. Generally, under general thing, what we understand allergy, it's usually it's a process that it's a combination of both, and it has something, almost always has something to do when we, first of all, absorb the allergy first. Amanda, what do you understand on that? What are those paths an allergen can get to us?
Obviously nose and mouth. I think eyes. Too.
Yeah.
And your skin. Your skin is your biggest organ.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get it through my skin because I have a lot of allergies towards like materials and metals and stuff like that. But I also have a penicillin allergy, which I would orally get.
Yeah. Well, practically anything that has contact to the outside, which is our skin and mucosa, GI tract, skin and mucosa. So, please go ahead, Alyssa. That is obviously that is the first line of defense for us, meaning to stay away from allergies.
Skin as a barrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then you were kind of talking about how there's 2 separate paths, which kind of will give us the type 1 sensitivity, which we talked about last week, which is the anaphylactic type reaction where it's on the spot, instantaneous. And then you have what's called a delayed reaction as well, which I believe is type 4, which is just like that. Whereas you might touch something, but then it takes a little bit of time for that reaction to build up in your system and actually come with those symptoms. So.
And you were talking about the types of allergic reaction, and you talked about the type 1 and type 4. So do you want give us a little more information?
I wish I knew the definitions of the type 1 through 4. I know they all fall into those categories, but going through school, the top 2 that they teach us is type 1, which is the big bad, have your EpiPen ready. And then type 4, which is kind of that delayed, mediated is what they call it. So like if you were to have some sort of allergic reaction an hour later type thing.
Alyssa just reminded me of a funny story that happened to me actually the day that we talked about allergies. I was with my family and my brother, Zach, he's allergic to spider bites. When he was younger, he actually was in the hospital for 3 days because his leg was so swollen over a spider bite. He's going camping this weekend with his friends. And my mom's like, you need to bring an EpiPen in case you get bit by a spider. And I told my mom, he does not need an EpiPen for spiders. He's not going to have his throat closed from getting a spider bite. What do you think about that? Would an EpiPen help with like a swollen leg or
like a non-anaphylactic reaction is what he's asking. Yeah.
Well, it is reserved for anaphylactic reaction because anaphylactic reaction is where we talked about it last time, that your vessel open up and suck lots of fluid blood into the third spaces, and you want to prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is actually can be even dangerous if you use it just liberally for other kind of allergies. There are other medication that works for other kind of allergies. Alyssa, do you want to help us out there?
Sure. I
What do
mean,
we use for different kind of allergies? What
my first thought when I think of allergies is I think of antihistamines and sort of like
Benadryl.
corticosteroids. Yeah. Yeah. Benadryl's that same type of
Mhm.
it's doing the same type of process that we had just described allergies make is they, your body starts to attack them and then release that, histamine, which would cause, kind of the reactions you see on our skin is typically what I'm thinking of, the hives, the itchy, the flushing. And it would just reverse that, the antihistamine side of things. So
Now, to come back to the pathophysiology of that, there are different kind of immune globulin, and immune globulin are these molecules that sort of like a key and lock, they lock into things that our body or antigens, something that our body considers to be a bad thing. And for some various reason, the anaphylactic reaction is the so-called immune globulin E, where it starts a cascade that, oh my God, what's going on? I have to call the army and the navy and so on and so forth. And that is what you just discussed, allergic reaction, anaphylactic reaction, asthma, and so on. Or practically we go to war. Now, there is these are the most common way allergy reaction is actually a 4 and 1, obviously. And then the 4 is the so-called that the cells are more involved in the cell-mediated kind of, that is not the immune globulin, but on the top, on the surface of the cells as well, there are these molecules that we just don't call them immune globulin, but they act the same. They connect like a lock and key, and then the cells start proliferating and fighting it. And that is often it can be as well a combination, because imagine there is a problem that our body considered something bad for us. Sometimes it can be a combination of that. But coming back to that, the histaminic path is mostly cell-mediated, kind of.
Right.
Starts at cell-mediated. So antihistaminica. So what do you remember of from PA school about medication that helps for this kind of antihistaminica that work for that?
Yeah, typically in PA school they teach us all those daily types of medications that you take, not the big guns. So we learn about those antihistamines, the Claritins, the Benadryls. Then we move to kind of the systematic type of approach. So if you are stuffed up from allergies, use your decongestants, your nasal corticosteroids, stuff like that. There's certain shots, that they can give now, as well as montelukast. Singulair is really popular as well. And then again, if you have itchy eyes, eye drops, itchy skin, keep it moisturized, a lot of different stuff like that.
By keeping it moisturized, you're putting a water barrier, the allergen on your body. So your barrier. Which,
surprisingly, I mean, maybe not for you, maybe for Amanda, but you have sensitive skin, but you would have, it's amazing how many people you have to tell that when you have these types of reactions or the dry skin, to use unscented or, aquifer barrier type creams.
Yes.
Not the scented bath and body lotions.
And no alcohol in it.
Yeah. Because there's so many lotions out there that, are for the smell. They're not actually to do what we want them to do. And a lot of people just don't realize that there's a difference. They say, I want the smelly one. Not gonna do it for you.
If you have sensitive skin, do not buy the scented ones, because they're gonna make your sensitive skin flare up. I actually personally just use oil. I barely use lotion.
And may I make another suggestion? If you are allergic to something and get lots of skin reaction, and if you want to go into nature, what about having long sleeves? And basic. Put a barrier between the allergen and your body.
And that would always be the number one.
You would think, yeah.
You would think,
but even a mask. That is any kind of barrier between the anti-allergen. And if you remember from our last conversation, allergy by definition is an overreaction of our immune system. It's not considering something that is not necessarily super bad for us. It's not a bug that is going to come and kill us, overreacting to that. So at times we have to just tell our immune system, calm down, relax, take a break. What do you know? What medication do you know that does exactly that?
Telling our immune system to take a break.
To slow it down, to just reduce our, what is the medication that's very, very common medication that tell our body don't overreact to, or slows down our immune system?
You're gonna have to tell me because I think I'm
Oh,
fishing for like a lot of them.
I'm just asking you, John. I'm
Is
just
it like an
Anxiety? Yeah, I was like,
Anti-anxiety.
which way are we
No.
trying to slow it down? Our blood
No.
pressure? We're talking,
I'm
propranolol.
No, it's a very common hormone.
gonna make you
I know
guess
he's gonna
it.
make me guess it. Keep going.
Start
The
guessing.
derivative, it's a derivative of sexual hormone with the same structure. Our body produces in our suprarenal gland. And
Or adrenaline?
no,
Oh, I was like, that's in our
Yeah.
above our
and
kidney.
then the adrenaline doesn't have cortisol. Yeah, it's like
So we're talking just like steroids.
steroids. Yes.
Okay.
What it does, it sort of reduces our inflammatory reaction.
Inflammation.
As a matter of fact, there are two kinds of anti-inflammatory medication, right? Steroidal and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory
There you
things,
go.
right? So
See, we should have just went for the ibuprofen. When in doubt, start slow.
no,
Start low, go slow.
ibuprofen actually, or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, they don't have that much effect on the pathways that the allergen and
For allergies. I would agree with you on that.
But at the end of the day, I mean, if you have an inflamed everything and everything is in pain, they still do some work. But I'm sure everybody in medicine knows that so-called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs.
Mhm.
What that means, there must be something that is steroidal anti-inflammatory
Right.
drugs. We just
No.
don't call them that. We
I
just
know.
call them
I should
steroids.
have guessed it the first time.
Yeah.
But
So
we got
okay, so but that is truly at it suppresses our totally capacity of immune system, understanding that this is overreaction. For that reason, we don't give it to people who have a true infections, because we don't want them to suppress their immune system, except if they go to anaphylactic, if they have a sepsis where it's an infection. Our immune system start in a sepsis, in a true sepsis. What kills us is our immune system, not the infection. Where infection, the bugs and so on, they go all the way in our bloodstream, they go everywhere. Our immune system says it's now or never.
Mhm.
Overreact again, and that as well we give sometimes in sepsis, sometimes we give steroids. Okay? So this is a very fine kind of balance, a ballet of knowledge that we have gained over the last few hundred years, how to treat that. But now we talked about actually only about the medication-based
Mhm.
and barrier-based way how to deal with allergies. I'm sure you guys have some more information you want to share.
Yeah, where we left off last week, we were talking about lactose intolerance.
And
Can-
celiac disease, those type of later in
Yeah.
life type of allergies.
I
Yeah.
think before we continue, I want to have a clarification on the difference of an allergy and an intolerance.
I say based on
From
my
someone.
I always say layman's terms, but like if I were to describe an intolerance, it'd just be the body does not have the ability to digest it, ingest it, break it down, whatever it may be, is that the
Mhm.
body physically just, whether it's an enzyme, so like lactose intolerance, that's like the body not being able to break down lactose or I believe. Yeah. And so then it'll go quote right through you. You're not able to digest that and get that into your body the correct way. So you have those types of side effects such as, diarrhea, bloating. Whereas if you're having a reaction, it's not the fact that your body can't, absorb it properly. It's the fact that your body sees it as foreign, wrong,
Mhm.
something that's trying to attack you. So it then will attack itself.
Okay.
That's kind of how I see it.
So if you're intolerant, you just can't absorb it, but your body's not going to go into defense, fight or flight mode.
Correct. That's how I would see it. Like if I have lactose intolerance and I eat ice cream or milk,
Mhm.
I'm going to probably feel like crud
Bad.
for a while, but I won't have that anaphylactic or that reaction. You know, some people do have the skin reactions with
Mhm.
food allergies. So they might have some rashes, itchiness and whatnot, which
Okay.
could be confused with an allergy. But in this case, I think you have the idea that, yeah, your body, you can eat it. You're probably not going to die from it, but you
You won't
probably
be
won't feel
happy.
very good.
Your friends are going to be upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Well, yeah, actually, it's a good description. More or less is that that in intolerance, and they are overlap, obviously,
Right.
very significantly. In the intolerance is that you're getting something in your body that you cannot process, and it accumulates, and it has non-immune reaction. Like you have all this, the lactic, lactate and other sugar in your body that you cannot get rid of it. You don't have a reaction to that, but it absorbs more water in that, and you have a diarrhea because your body doesn't absorb it, and it osmotically attracts in a physical way. It accumulates and have a negative effect on you. Whereas in a true allergy, your body is fighting it in an active way. So that sort of sums it up. But it's often there is a huge overlap between them.
I guess I have a question. I kind of know the answer, but this is kind of also to get it make sense to you. So when we have an allergy, typically there's some sort of medication, that we can give that will reverse the reaction, whereas kind of an intolerance, as you can assume that once it's in your body, it's more symptom management. It's not reversing it, since it's not, like you said, an immune reaction.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's a good kind of rule of thumb is
you just wait until your body gets rid of it in intolerance.
right.
What about people that are lactose intolerant? Then they sometimes take some type of medication before they eat their
Mhm.
dairy. What is that
I've heard of
medication
that.
doing?
Say
Are
one
you
more time?
Some people that are lactose intolerant, they take
like
medication.
a lactate pill or
Yeah,
something?
like a lactate pill before they eat their dairy, or people that are gluten intolerant sometimes take some type of supplement that they eat before they ingest whatever their body isn't going to be happy with. And it's supposed to help with the gassiness and the bloating. But what is that medication doing?
I don't know of any specific medication, but there are some medication that you can get those enzymes with you. You can eat those
I
enzymes.
think that's exactly
Mm.
what it is. It's a pill that you take. I haven't heard of a gluten one, but I have heard for the dairy that you take that and basically it's putting those enzymes in, and it would try and help your body absorb. I can't imagine that it's 100%, but I would assume that it's a much better reaction than if you wouldn't have taken it prior. But
Okay.
they don't teach us that specifically in school either. But
And as well, there's some additional supplement that they enable you to your GI tract to break down the material that's there better and faster by by making it better soluble and so on. So these are all again symptomatic treatment
right.
to make it easy on your body either to absorb it or get rid of it.
Sure.
So, but I'm sure we are going to talk a little about the desensitization, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's a couple. I know one that we can probably start on. A good starting point is peanuts.
I've been hearing about that.
That's been a huge topic of discussion just because we know nuts is a huge allergy and huge for anaphylactic reaction. But there's been a lot of studies going out talking about when you first give your child or first expose them to nuts and peanut butter and etc., that it can actually slow or eliminate an allergy, a peanut allergy.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that lately, that there's certain cultures that introduce peanuts right away. They don't have that waiting period like we do here in the US. And those children end up not having peanut allergies, or there's very fewer occurrences of peanut allergies within those cultures. What do you think about that?
Well, if you remember the last time we talked about how our immune system builds practically a key for every possible molecule combination ever can exist. And then it eliminates those that it has and early on has access to, meaning that if you give them access very early, like, with just put a little peanut, in some places they do that. They just rub a little peanut to their mouth and so on. And then the immune system says, yeah, this is something that is not bad. So those cell clones that build those keys to peanut material that make peanut allergic, an antigen, those cells, they die in our thymus. And then when you grow up, it's less likely to develop that kind of allergy. Now, go ahead.
Can it go the other way? Like with mussels, we always hear if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't eat peanuts since you're a baby, and when you're like 50, could it be possible that you develop an allergy to peanuts?
I haven't heard of anybody developing. As a matter of fact, what it's well known is that kids grow out of a peanut allergy. Nothing is impossible. Medicine and biology always try everything that can happen. But more than that scenario is the scenario that they are allergic and then they grow out of it.
Right. I think that's a lot of that I see, especially with peanuts being, we talk about that type 1 reaction. Growing out of an anaphylactic reaction seems very, very strange to me as well.
And also,
growing out of a mild,
hives,
just adverse reaction or whatnot, I could see that lightening up, as we get older and our bodies strengthen. But gosh, that type of reaction, that really does surprise me that one would grow out of a type 1.
So, coming back to that, and I'm just emphasizing, once you understand the processes, not only you understand the combination of situation that gives you allergy or you can get rid of it, but you can truly devise methods to actually treat that. If once you understand what we react to is actually a molecule, a surface structure. Now, a surface structure, there might be 5 different things that can give you the same surface structure. The key doesn't care if there are 2 iron and a chrome and a protein make that surface structure, or if another protein make that surface structure. If it fits, it sits, and then the reaction starts. And that's actually where the cross allergies come from. So when you have a molecule that has understand a molecule structure or surface structure and it fits to that, now this molecule is produced by a series of cells. We call them clones. And those clones, literally, there is a cell line of those clones. The reason you get vaccinated is you give them access to a part of a you give them access to a useless part of a bacteria or virus, and then you make those clones attach and then start building more and more of those cell lines and more of those immune globulins. That is how vaccination works. Now, in the allergy is the same way, but the bad way. You have cell lines that build that molecule that attach to something that they shouldn't really react. Now, the question of desensitization is, what is the process to eliminate those clones? That's all what it is. Finding how can we get rid of those clones and make our body understand this molecule is not really practically going to be significantly damaging for our body. Now, the process of desensitization, what do you understand, Amanda, under allergy desensitization? What do you understand on
Well, I would just take the word desensitize and recycle it, I guess. Like, you are introducing something to make yourself less sensitive to it.
Have you in the psychology
yourself
like this?
over and over again to create?
Yeah.
No,
I've heard of that exposure therapy, I'm sure.
it's very,
Yeah. Good
exactly.
one. Exposure therapy. In the psychology, there is a process of desensitization for phobias. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Tell us, Alyssa, what's that?
Well, it makes me kind of chuckle because I mean, I don't have any phobias like I don't like rain.
Except to Amanda.
No, I
Yeah.
always say I have a rainophobia because I don't like raining on me. But for example, clowns. A lot of people are scared of clowns, and that's a typical phobia. And so if someone were to have that fear of clowns, the typical treatment would be exposure therapy, where they would begin by, talking about clowns, showing images, going through, that desensitization process up until they are able to come face to face with a clown or, be in the same room, whatever it is. It's the process of constant re-exposure to the same thing.
Perfect. But when you show them a picture, first you talk about the clown, then you show them a cartoonish picture of a clown that is nothing like a clown, and then it becomes more and more like a clown, and then it becomes maybe a 3D puppet of a clown, and then it becomes a very friendly of a clown, and so on, that you sort of take the fear away by exposing in a safe environment. So
which I think is we do all the time, quite frankly. I mean, a good example I think of is I was a lifeguard for 7 years. So I taught swimming lessons, and a lot of people are scared of the water. So you desensitize them to the water. You start slow, you dunk them to their shoulders and then their heads. And, it's the same thing. We do that every day.
Yeah.
When we can't, I don't like hot, spicy food. Well, what do? I slowly started adding a little bit and a little bit more. And then I add it to vegetables. And then on top of this, and, I did that for a while.
You did it with social media, like getting comfortable talking on TikTok.
There you go. That's a good point too.
You can do it with anything.
We do it every day.
Yeah, every day.
I would like to say most people figure out ways to desensitize themselves on their own.
Yeah.
If I'm scared to walk through that door, I'm going to hype myself up. I'm going to picture myself walking through that door. I'm going to, practice it a few times, and then I'm going to do it. We don't need therapy to do it, but we do that desensitization process.
How is it done? How is it done for allergies, though?
Oh, well, I mean, what we had talked about. I'm more familiar with, I guess, the peanut side of things, but it's the same sort of exposure of whether it's just putting it on the skin. I've seen that first, just kind of doing a patch test, seeing how the skin reacts, and then starting with small amounts, whether it's peanut oil, just on the mucosa on the tongue, seeing how it reacts, and then moving into more and more.
Would like honey and pollen fall into this category? Something that we talked about is if you have spring or fall time allergies, eating local honey, and that pollen from the local honey is supposed to, I think it desensitizes you so that you have less of a reaction to the pollen in the air.
Have you heard that honey has anti-inflammatory substance in it?
Yeah.
So that is exactly what we are talking about. You give them a little of it, but at the same time, you make the immune system feel safe by giving some anti-inflammatory substances, either
But
natural
specifically
or
local honey. Specifically.
I think because I have allergies to the environment. So when I was in South Dakota, I noticed I had different types of allergies than when I came to Minnesota. But when I went to Mall of America with Amanda, we stopped at a honey shop, which I didn't do honey at all, but they taught me about the benefits of eating Minnesota locally grown honey, because the bees and the pollen that they're using come from local Minnesota trees, flowers, whatnot, which is kind of those things that typically give me the allergic reaction. So they kind of told me that process, that if I kind of start mixing in, Minnesota grown foods such as honey or pollen based things, that it might work with desensitizing my allergies to the Minnesota allergies, at least.
No,
I think about right.
The idea of the local honey is because local honey has local pollen that you are allergic to.
Right. Yeah.
Honey by generally has anti-inflammatory substances that it sort of put our immune system, okay, this is a little bit of this, but it's safe, and so on and so forth. But you can do as well that with other medication, like, reduce your immune reaction with some maybe other anti-inflammatory medication. but there is as well some heavy immune suppressant that you can use and so on. But that is a field for itself. You need to go to an allergy specialist for
Mhm.
more information there. I think that is beyond the scope of our podcast.
Yeah.
I think most of these last couple options, such as the honey and stuff are more that like holistic, not necessarily science-based, just kind of, one of those things that, give it a try. And if it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, well, you're not out anything. So
Yeah. Like what about people that have dander allergies, like people that are allergic to cats?
and dogs.
Can you desensitize yourself to cat dander? Because I feel like people that I know that are allergic to cats that love cats, they just have to take a supplement every day or a medication every day.
Antihistamine.
And if they don't take it, they're still going to suffer. They don't end up getting used to the cat.
Well, it is most of the time it's not the cat itself. It's a combination of the cat and the environment and the other, the substances, and so on and so forth. And like I had allergy to only one cat in my life, and no other cat ever. So if you're allergic to a cat, just change the cat, give it to somebody else, and have another cat.
I'm not sure Amanda's liking that answer.
Yeah, I would.
like
It is what it is. Biology is biology.
So say, Amanda she loves her cat. And if Chimmy started getting her sick, she's not going to get rid of Chimmy.
No,
So
I would-
You would know.
then-
You would know if you're allergic to cat in the first week you have that cat. So
But if
when
I
you
develop-
bound,
theoretically speaking, if Amanda just got Chimmy and she fell in love hard and she did not want to give up Chimmy, what would she do then? She would just have to take her daily allergy medicine and
or
suck it up.
suffer.
well, it's a combination of the other local stuff. Like find a good shampoo and give that cat a good shampoo and put that cat in a different environment so it doesn't have access to the same things and so on and so forth. That cat might be going to places and bringing things with her that you are allergic actually to that. Now,
That's a good
my
point.
best knowledge, no cat allergy is truly cat allergy. It's the things that the cat has on their skin, fur, and so on and so forth. So that would be that if you are really eternally in love with that cat, that would be your option.
Well, I think that's her option.
I'm
Thank
good.
goodness she's not allergic to Chimmy.
No.
I do onto that. So my brother and sister-in-law, they have 2 dogs. They're both mini golden doodles, and so they don't shed. And so that's been one of those known as hypoallergenic dogs.
Yeah, quote
Because-
unquote.
quote unquote, because they don't shed is that's what they say.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not allergic to dogs. Neither one of them are allergic to dogs. But then I kind of wonder, well, they don't shed, but if it's not the hair that's causing the allergy or then how does that work? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, I always thought it was something to do not only with the hair or the skin,
Mhm.
but I thought it was something to do with the saliva of the animal.
Yes, it is a saliva of the cat and as well, not only saliva of the cat, how the saliva of the cat and some other chemical that they have on their fur,
Mhm.
a combination, how they like nobody have chrome allergy. Chrome is not big enough to build to attach to any of our immune globulin, but chrome get attached to certain protein that are natural for us, but by getting covalently attached to that, change the surface of the protein that are immune globulin. All of a sudden, they have a surface that is foreign to them. So same, I think, with the cat, it's a cat and cat saliva and other material that they put on their fur that what makes us allergic to them.
Okay. That answers my question then.
I'm curious actually about like gluten intolerance or gluten allergies because before I became a vegetarian, I was having a lot of digestive issues and I went to the doctor to get tested and really didn't get results that I could relate to. Like I was told a FODMAP to follow, but the map actually, or the diet that I was given by my doctor, it didn't help my digestive issues. So I kind of took matters into my own hands and paid attention to what I was eating and how it impacted me. and I felt like I had a gluten sensitivity because when I would eat gluten, I would get extremely bloated, gassy, and uncomfortable. But my doctor told me that that's not possible to have a gluten allergy unless you have celiac. So I got tested for celiac, which I don't have. So is that, I feel like I hear different information all the time about gluten allergies or gluten intolerance. What do you think, Alyssa, about that?
Well, first of all, I don't think anyone can tell you like, no, you can't have this without having this, because we see it all the time. Everyone's different. I guess based on your thing is, yeah, typically they go and they get the biopsies to check for celiac disease, because that is what they have those markers. They know how that works. But just like intolerances, you know, if you have these reactions after eating these foods, and you know, you did that FODMAP, you eliminated foods, you added foods, you did everything you could, and you say, hey, I eat gluten and this is what happens, and it happens with nothing else, I would be very, very highly suspicious that there is some sort of, maybe not allergy, maybe not celiac, but some sort of intolerance, some sort of something that, you know, cause and effect.
Yeah.
If you dug, you could probably find some different answers, and who knows, but you know, Dr. Bassi will agree with me that, you know, you listen to your patient, and when your patient tells you that this happens, it doesn't matter what the biopsy comes back and says to you, you know,
Yeah.
it's real, you're feeling that. So
I did cut out gluten actually for like 6 months after she told me, after I had my colonoscopy, I cut it out and I introduced it back into my diet. Now it doesn't impact me the way it used to, but I cut out a lot of other things like red meat. Immediately I stopped eating that and it helped a lot. And I know a lot of people do have sensitivities to red meat and dairy products.
That is it. Yes. And there is a disease that we just recently discovered, which is transmitted actually by ticks. Okay?
Ticks.
Yeah, ticks.
Ticks.
Ticks. Ticks.
there
Ticks.
you go. Ticks.
Ticks.
Ticks. That after infection with the tick, whatever it is there, if we don't know exactly what it is, we truly develop the allergic reaction to some component of the red meat, some myoglobin or something else. I don't believe we all completely understand that, but that can be really grave, meaning that they completely are intolerant of any red meat and has severe allergic reaction to red meat, and that become a permanent thing. So in a way, nature found a way to make us vegetarian.
I'm thankful for that. I actually remember my last cheeseburger I ate. I was in so much pain. I had to sleep on the bathroom floor. It was so bad.
Maybe you had that, Amanda. Maybe you had that thing. This has been probably have been existing forever, but we just in the last, I would say, 10 years is that we understand that is truly an entity. That's a problem that has been transmitted by ticks.
You know what I think is really interesting actually about allergies is, you know, dogs can have allergies too.
Why not?
Food allergies. My friend's dog is allergic to chicken. And so she has to buy special food. Her dog can't have anything with chicken in it, or the fur will fall off of the dog in patches because it'll be so itchy from
Autoimmune type
hives.
of reaction too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm sure
nature,
and that dog's probably got a few more
Oh, she has a lot of allergies.
autoimmune allergy.
She can't eat
type
eggs
issues.
either. Yeah.
I was gonna say typically they're followed. If you got one, you got
She's got a lot.
which
Okay.
is typically go ahead.
please put it on one of our podcasts that we talk about the breeding and the process of natural and selective breeding. And then I will come back and say something about that. But that's a long
I
conversation.
will put that because I can talk about breathing all day.
Breeding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Write that
Breeding.
down, Charlie. Breeding.
Dog
Natural
breeding.
selection.
Dog breeding.
okay. Because breathing too, actually, the way you breathe does play a big part on your whole lifestyle. Like, I actually read that it's really healthy to tape your mouth shut when you're sleeping, and it's really good for you. Really good for you in different ways.
Okay, make fun
right.
of the foreigner. Make
Do
fun of
breathing and
people-
breathing for our
and-
next podcast.
Make
that
fun
down,
of
Charlie.
people with language disabilities. Good one. Good one. Okay.
I'm not. I thought, come on. We're talking about allergies. How
Okay.
is that?
So
Obviously
Because he said he was
breathing.
going to answer your cat or your dog
Whatever.
allergy question after we talk about that.
yes.
Whatever.
No,
We'll
no,
try
but
again next week.
that is important. In nature, in true nature, allergy doesn't really exist because nature set you up with everything that you can ever get access to, very childhood. And if you if you have an allergic reaction, anaphylactic reaction in nature, you die and you're done. So that is eliminated very rapidly. Now, we just don't like our children to die. That is why, and those children with allergic reaction end up being adult, have children, and so on and so forth. So those gene lines that are more likely developing those kind of cell lines, immune lines, they continue and continue and continue. Allergy, the way we understand in a human, in the true nature, I don't believe it really exists. Now, dogs and cats that we breed, breed, is different because we don't select them for survivability. We select them for other characteristics.
For cuteness.
For example.
Hunting.
Same thing with chickens, actually.
So I think
He's like, next topic.
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah,
"I'm
next
done
topic.
with you."
chicken. I know Amanda can talk about chicken. We should actually have a podcast only talk about chickens.
I'd be down. I'll talk about chickens for an hour. You guys can listen.
I got a lot to learn. So
Well, you have
we could get Taylor on. He'd do it.
we actually should do that.
I have a friend I met on TikTok.
Nice.
It's a chicken farmer and like up in St. Cloud area.
I
and
think
stuff.
he breeds them too.
Yeah, he breeds chickens and snakes and stuff. And we met through TikTok, we support each other.
Is there anything else allergy related that you want to add? I feel like we can close
I
out.
have one question.
Okay, what's your question?
Because I brought this up to upstairs. So it has to do with bees. Okay. I have never been stung by a bee, but I know bees are one of those anaphylactic type reactions. So in general, I always say, I'm like, gosh, I've never been stung by a bee. What if I'm allergic to bees and I have no EpiPen? I have nothing ready. So I was just kind of curious, it doesn't matter what age I am. If I got stung right now, I could have that reaction. Or if I got stung in 40 years, I would still have that first reaction, correct? Like I'll never know.
Is a question for me?
No,
Yeah.
it was for me. She's asking me.
I'm asking the doctor. Yeah.
Okay, so see, bee poison or bee venom is actually bad for you. The
Mhm.
body should contain it one way or another. Now, but how much? How much should it contain it? How much resources should our body get to contain that bee sting?
Not very.
Which is bad for us. As long as it's limited and local,
Yeah.
you have a regular reaction to venom. But then your immune start overreacting to that. That becomes the allergic reaction.
Right.
So and that is absolutely not unusual. Like a sepsis, a regular reaction to bacteria is normal. That's called infection. An overreaction to bacteria, where your body goes to, everything or nothing, that is then kill you.
Right.
So an EpiPen, again, is good for overreaction of your body in the IgE cascade that
Right.
helps you not overreact. Or EpiPen actually, all what it does, it makes sure that not all your blood and serum pulls out in third space. That's all what it does. Okay, it's really not something against the allergy. EpiPen just make sure that your heart has enough still blood to pump through your body. Otherwise, the cascade of the material chemical that are released in any kind of shock make your fluid and the blood pools in your veins and in your third spaces. Okay.
Mhm. So moral of that is
Be
I
careful.
won't know if I'm allergic to bees until the time comes then, right?
So if you see a bee, just be calm.
Be
Don't
calm.
slap it and stuff.
Yeah, and I think what happens is usually that the first few times, unless your body is so overwhelmed,
Mhm.
that imagine you get a stung in your hand, it's a local reaction. But if you get stung 500 times in your body, then it's not a local reaction anymore. So it is. But if it's in the individual stings, I don't believe it's something that you get allergic to right away.
Sure.
That should be rare. I think if you get repeated reaction, stung, and then
mean,
that may develop that pathway.
I have been told I'm kind of 1 in a million, so
Oh,
I agree.
cute.
I just have to end it on a happy note, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we can wrap it up now. Anything else you guys want to add?
No,
No,
thank
I
you
just-
guys for watching. I hope you learned a lot about allergies. Now be careful this summer.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, well, and we will get on the other one in pretty soon, but let's get back online so we can discuss the next topic, our case conference. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you
Okay.
guys.
You want to close it up, Amanda?
Thanks for watching. This is Essence of Science, Reversing Allergies. I'm Amanda Armagast.
I'm Melissa Haber.
I'm Dr. Abbas.